Uh, I think Shedeur Sanders hijacks a lot of the attention in this list, rightfully so. Understanding that his dad is the coach, his dad is one of the greatest football players of all time, and one of the most athletic athletes, playing multiple sports all time. He's got a huge personality. That part of it has certainly, at least for me, hijacked a little bit of this experience because unlike everyone else on this list, I did not watch every single game of these guys, and I certainly didn't share every single game. I did watch and share every game from Colorado this year, just because I was fascinated. Like, I wasn't seeing on the film things that I thought would be tethered to someone who was kind of projected to go so high in the draft. That being said, I think that there are a lot of things that when I get to Shedeur to talk about that makes sense. I tried everything I could to move him down. That's the way that I kind of, as I got into more and more of the film and saw more and more of the projected players being drafted, I was looking for reasons to move him down because the film wasn't making sense to me that he should be a top, 1 overall pick or even a top 10 pick. It just wasn't making sense to me. Then going back and seeing where everyone else in this class is, I don't think you can deny the fact that Shedeur Sanders is a polished prospect, meaning that he is very fundamental. I think you can tell he's been coached well and at a high level for a long time. I think he plays extremely intelligent. He's an intelligent football player, makes smart decisions the vast majority of the time, is in a situation to kind of, I don't want to say stat pad or project himself, but anytime your dad is your coach and responsible for bringing in talent around you, you have to acknowledge they had the best football player in the country on their team. He's got unbelievable ball skills. They also had a handful of other NFL wide receivers. The rest of that scheme, though, is a dumpster fire. Straight up, it is. I've shared my notes on it. If you're that interested, you can go back and find them. So it's hard to kind of pierce away, hey, is it going to look different when we're not throwing to the best player on the field? Is it going to look different when we have a line who can block a stunt? Is it going to look different when we have a run game, when we have a tight end, when we aren't running just Y cross or just perimeter screens? Probably it is. I don't think he's as dynamic of an athlete as he thinks he is or as people would assume that he is. I think he's strong. I think he's really good at the line of scrimmage, short, even intermediate-ish throws where he can see it, throw it, think like Y cross-ish concepts. But from there, it's a limited sphere of some fade balls, and we're not seeing a lot of what I would consider dynamic top 10, round 1 for sure, cannon, arm talent. And that's that I feel like that's a very fair description of the film. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, with Shedeur Sanders, and kind of, he was the main story, or he feels like he still is the main story in this, and rightfully so. But I'm telling you, watching the films, because I didn't love the fact that there was this kind of like ceiling on the arm talent, that it didn't make sense for me to say, oh, he's for sure going to be, taken off the board at number 2. And it seems like that's probably not the consensus across going into this draft. That doesn't mean he won't. That doesn't mean that he won't be the best player in this draft if he continues to get better and all those things. And you can cite a bunch of guys who have become better throwers as pros. But the reality is the college film is very polished, but it's limited in some of the throws. Again, you got to make sense. Is it him or is it the scheme? Is it both? Now, let me go into a little bit of detail about why I think that is, because it's a nice transition into Cam Ward. Shedeur is a very polished, what I would consider, pause for coffee, what I would consider a traditional thrower, meaning a little bit more over the top. 2 hands on the ball in the pocket, smooth, fluid. But when he goes to rip it, as opposed to Cam Ward is the ultimate rotational guy. Everything in, almost 3/4-ish, everything can be done in a tight phone booth. Shedeur, for me, everything kind of goes up as he tries to accelerate. So it looks like when he tries to rip it, he loses a lot of energy up as opposed to rotationally at his target. That's just me. Yeah, all I did was watch every single film, but from an all 22 perspective. Now, the crazy thing is they both have the same trainer. So they're hearing a lot of the same stuff. And I'm not saying Shedeur doesn't have some rotational capacity. He certainly does. But when he looks to rip it, the difference for me sometimes with guys who are so over the top is they feel like everything is up, as opposed to guys who are a little bit more 3/4. And this is coming from a guy who threw 3/4 changeups. Okay, so maybe a little bias. It's easier to be rotational here as it is to be rotational here. That's it. Okay, that's just it's not a hot take. It's just the film. And so that limits a little bit of the fastball, a little bit of the drive throws down the field. Will it be an issue in the league? We're all going to find out together.